It's Marlon Speaks Live, yeah, I'm saying what they hide. History uncensored, let the real survive. Yeah, it's truth over comfort, I don't pick no side. If it shake the room a little, let the truth collide. Cause it's Marlon Speaks Live, no script, no disguise. I don't sell no lies, just to monetize. Cause the past still breathing and it never dies. Yeah, it's Marlon Speaks Live, now the truth will rise. Yo, it's Marlon.
Welcome back, another episode of Marlon Speaks Live. Yeah, so I was scrolling on YouTube and I found a video by Shahid Bosen, The Middle Nation. He has a channel called The Middle Nation. I'm going to share that clip, but before I do, I want to thank everybody that's been liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. If you haven't already, like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel if you like any of this content. And but yeah, just like the title says, all white Americans, white people in general, do better. Quit defending your racist, your murdering, your raping, your thieving ancestors who created this system that's flawed from its inception. Like it's completely flawed. It's only rewarding certain people. Everyone else is barely getting by, trying to survive. And yeah, so that's what's going on with this system. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over to this video. Going to share this video with you guys. Like I said, Shahid Bosen. He has a very powerful message. I want to share with you guys. Hold on, I'm trying to get this video right. Okay, there you go.
Well, you've been having this argument in the West for basically a century. The same argument: capitalism versus communism, capitalism versus socialism, whatever. State ownership versus private ownership. Private ownership versus state control and so forth. You're trapped in this binary, this sort of cage of thinking. And like I said, you're only ever told in the West that there are these two options. That there's only two possible ways to structure a society. There's only two possible ways to manage an economy. Well, no one insists upon a false binary, because binary is almost always false. No one insists upon a false binary unless you're just actually not interested in pursuing change. You're not actually interested in pursuing progress. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is obvious, because your problem is not actually your system. This is the truth. Your problem is the character, the culture, and the values that created the system in the first place. The priorities of your culture, the priorities of your value system. You understand? The system did not emerge out of nowhere. The system is an echo of yourselves, your own beliefs. You think that you can fix the system. You think you can make things better if you fix the system. No. I've said this many, many times. The system did not make your society the way it is. You made the system the way it is because you are the way you are. I mean, okay, sure, the system itself snowballs. It's self-fulfilling. It's self-reinforcing. It's a cycle. It creates a spiral. Because of the system, things get worse. But this isn't a chicken and the egg type of a question. We know the origin. Because you built your own system. You built your own system and you built it according to your pre-existing ways, the way you are. Yes, the problem was never capitalism itself, never in an absolute sense. It wasn't capitalism wasn't the problem. The problem is the
Right, and on top of that, these people today are trying to blame everything on one person, on Donald Trump. He is a product of this system. He isn't the system. He is a product. You can't blame all of that behavior that Donald Trump has on one person. That behavior, it comes from somewhere. So see, and that's what I've been saying about accountability, about fully addressing the spirit that's within the people within this country, white America. That's where your problem is at. Not in the system. It's in the people. The people made the system. You can be better than your ancestors. You don't have to keep doing the same stuff. You can change. You can be better.
It's the character of the culture that practices it. That's all. The problem is the soul of the society, or the lack thereof. I mean, think about it. A culture that prioritizes hyper-individualism, where the highest possible good is basically personal enrichment. You're talking about a society that worships growth for growth's sake, consumption for consumption's sake. A culture whose moral imagination is so stunted that the only value that your culture recognizes is financial value. Honestly, the only metric of success is profit. Okay, in that kind of a cultural environment, of course your economic system is going to be predatory. Of course it's going to be a predatory monster, an extractive predatory monster. It's a reflection of the people who are operating it. It's a mirror of your own spiritual emptiness. This is why you lack any sort of imagination in this regard, in regards to other ways of doing things. Why for like I say, for a century, you've pretended that there are only two or maybe three conceivable approaches to the economy: capitalism, communism, socialism, what have you. You're literally not allowed to explore any other economic theories, any other economic approaches. You're not taught that there are, in fact, entire libraries of alternative models that exist, that have been tested by other civilizations across history, across human history. You're just given this narrow, sterile menu of A or B, and this reflects the narrow spectrum of your own character, of your own values, and your own priorities. Like I said, your own understanding of and your own approach to life itself, meaning itself. Like, I mean, in Islam, in Islamic history, for example, we have what would be a revolutionary concept for you. It's a revolutionary concept for you, but it's profoundly simple, and it's one of the best, what you can call economic institutions in human history, and that's the waqf. You haven't even heard of that. Something like this doesn't even occur to you. Like, you don't even have to cook this up in your own heads, the idea of the waqf, because it literally, you can literally just see it in history, but that's how blind you are. And I'm not talking about imposed blindness here. I'm talking about the pre-existing blindness that caused you to build a whole system that reinforces blindness. A waqf.
Right. And that's basically what I see every day with white Americans. They act like they don't see stuff that's right in front of them. They refuse. That's that blindness that he's talking about.
Is a permanent, inalienable, charitable, revenue earning engine for community services and projects, community needs. You understand? It's not a charity drive.
So not only is Shaheed identifying the problem, he's offering a solution to the problem. A place like Flint, Michigan, where I reside, is perfect for this system. A waft. We need it now more than ever. All of our industries have left. Our infrastructure is crumbling. So much depression in this city. So much depression. Because you got to think, to come to a place that was once thriving, the people that lived in Flint, Michigan automatically assumed that it would be opportunities here for them, right? That was the only reason people even moved here. This was not a desirable place to live. And, slowly but surely, generation after generation, most people left now. I'm still here. I'm in that industry that most people came here for. I would have been gone if I wasn't in General Motors. But I'm in the industry that, that this city was known for. It's not that many of us that get in there. It's like a golden ticket if you ever get into General Motors. But being in General Motors right now in Flint, Michigan is very, it's lonely. It's very lonely. And it don't really make you feel good because the majority of the people that live here won't never get that opportunity, right? So this waft that he's I want you guys to look that up. If you live in a depressed city like me, like I do, this is a solution. This is a, and I know a lot of you that hate Muslims would never do something that Muslims would suggest, but this is something tried and true. I have heard of this, and this is something that I'm really passionately thinking about doing. Really, just it's a necessity. Like, it's out of necessity. Places like Flint, where no industry is coming to save us, we have to save ourselves. So, yeah, let's continue.
It's not a one-off donation. A person takes a productive asset. So like a person takes a productive asset, say a farm or a bakery or a complex of shops, and they permanently dedicate it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the community, to the ummah. The asset itself now can never be sold. Once it becomes a waqf, it can never be inherited. It's frozen. It's taken out of the speculative market forever. But it just keeps operating. It keeps operating as a business. It keeps operating as a farm or what have you, generating income.
Priceless. This is something that's priceless. You can't put a price on something that's a part of the fabric of it's priceless. You can't buy it. It serves a purpose. And that's where we're at in this country. That's where we're at in Flint, Michigan, for sure. Most places that still, quote unquote, thriving on the surface, where it look like they're thriving, they're just one industry leaving away from being in the same place that Flint, Michigan is in. This is why a lot of the media love to point out places like Flint as a bad example of capitalism. But all that really is them trying to divert from the fact that wherever they're at, if it's so-called thriving, like I said, they're just barely an inch away from being in the same exact position.
But that income, the profit, now goes into a fund supporting the community. Its revenue, its profit, now just flows forever into a designated social purpose, to fund a school, to fund a hospital, to fund a library, what have you, to provide water for the city, to take care of the poor, to take care of the orphans, and so on. Because these are priorities for us. And this will go on for generations. It will go on for centuries. We have waqfs in the Muslim world that have been operating for over 1,000 years. A piece of land, a building, a business, generating wealth, continuing to generate wealth that feeds the community in perpetuity. You understand? It's a machine that produces social good. It's capitalism, but without the conscience removed, which is what you have. It's private property, but whose ultimate beneficiary is the public. I mean, think about it. Instead of insisting that profits should go only to the already rich and to shareholders, you could actually have profits going to support the community. That's an option. You understand me? That's an option. Like I said, you don't even have to imagine it. You don't have to try to come up with it in your head. This is something that we have already done, that we have already been doing, and that we still do. Because these are the kind of beliefs that we have. These are the values that we have. This is the culture that we have. And these are the priorities that we have as Muslims. This is a balanced approach between private individual profit and the well-being of the community. Well, tell me, why didn't you ever do something like this? Why didn't something like this ever occur to you? It's not because of your system. It's because of your values and because of your culture. You always talk, leftists and so on, always talk about so-called wealth distribution or redistribution. But come on. You are literally distributing wealth and redistributing wealth all the time. This is what you do. You have just chosen to continuously distribute wealth upwards and out of circulation. You understand? Your companies in America, in the West, are these huge vacuum machines that just pump money out of the society up into the stratosphere of the ultra-rich. It's absurd. It's truly absurd. There's no reason for this. Your companies are these huge machines just harvesting and siphoning up and sucking up money, sucking up wealth from the society nonstop. Look at the S&P 500, okay? The corporate giants, the S&P 500, the market capitalization of the S&P 500 is approximately $40 trillion, okay? The total revenue of the S&P, which is market cap divided by price to sales ratio, that's about 16 trillion. Now, if you drill that down to average net profit, That's the sheer profit, okay? That's after expenses and so forth. You're looking at just under $2 trillion. Do you understand? The companies on the S&P 500 make a combined total of almost $2 trillion annually in net profit. That's $2 trillion. That $2 trillion is just vanished into the pockets of the wealthy. And once it vanishes into the pockets of the wealthy, we don't talk about it. Unless you're going to go with the eat the rich types and what have you, then you'll talk about the money of the rich. That's your answer. Eat the rich, destroy everything, control, alt, delete the system and start all over. This is, again, the binary thinking. Well, what if you applied the waqf principle instead? Just hypothetically, just imagine if you could possibly bear for a moment not putting the greed of the rich before the need of the population as a priority. What if you took just 5% of the companies on the S&P 500, just 25 companies, 25 corporations, and you turn those 25 corporations into waqfs? See, now you'll really get an idea. Now you'll really start to see how grotesque it is, how grotesque your system is, the system that your culture built, the grotesque system of a grotesque culture. Now you're going to see how appalling it is, okay? 25 companies, you turn them into waqfs. Now their shares are frozen. They can no longer be bought, and they can no longer be sold again. They're removed, okay, from the casino of the stock market. They're removed. Now they're dedicated to the people, to the society, to the population, to the community. But they keep operating. They keep making their products. They keep providing their services and so forth. Obviously, they're still employing their people. They're not nationalized. We're not talking about nationalization. This is not the state seizing control of the company. You understand? They keep doing business. They keep making money. Nothing else has changed, except that the money is now being put into a fund for social needs. The profit, I'm saying, not the operating costs. You still have the operating costs are being paid for by the company itself. Again, this is not socialism. This is not communism. This is something entirely different. The net profit of these companies every single year now is going to flow into a central fund for community needs. And not for just 1 year, not for one political term. No, in perpetuity. From now on, just think about the numbers. Right. If you try to calculate the numbers, it's absolutely staggering. We're not talking about millions of dollars. We're not even talking about billions of dollars. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. You understand? That's going into a community fund every single year. A perpetual, self-replenishing river of capital.
Yeah, that was Shahid Bossin. Hold on, let me fix my camera. That was Shahid Bossin. I'm gonna add the link to that video in my description so y'all can watch that in full. But this is an example of what I mean by learning from the past. What white Americans have to do. Because obviously Black Americans have learned. We will never forget the past, and we want to improve every facet of this society. We're not staying here, we're here for a reason. We're not in the way of progress in this country. We are the face of progress in this country. We want everyone to be progressive and think outside the box, because this system that we all have inherited one way or another, if you are a descendant of a slave owner, or your family been here 3, 4, maybe 5 generations, don't have nothing to do with that. We all inherited. We either bought into it or inherited it. One way or another, we are all a part of it. So this is just one example of what I mean by learning from the past, being better than your ancestors, confronting our history, and not being silent. We all have to speak up, get involved, heavily involved. Right now is a critical time, because we have seen what trying to ignore this history, trying not to confront it, and trying to act oblivious to it, get us what we going through now. Someone trying to completely topple the entire thing without a plan, at all. We get total anarchy, authoritarianism. Yeah, this is what we have when you refuse to confront the past. You refuse to raise your voice, even if you know something wrong, you feel it's wrong. You refuse to say something. You refuse to learn. A lot of white Americans just refuse to learn about the past. That you cannot move forward not knowing where you come from and just refusing. And then if they do learn, a lot of them, they try to flip it around and blame the people that were harmed. Like they are not the ones being harmed by the same system now. That's the crazy part. Y'all want to flip and turn and point at black people when we were the ones being totally harmed, the only ones pretty much primarily being totally harmed, you know, as far as all of the atrocities other than the Native Americans, I would say, and other POCs, people of color. But see, now this same system is hurting all people. But see, this is what I always say. If it hurted anybody, it hurted everybody. If anyone was harmed, everyone was harmed. So what it is, these people don't seem to understand until it directly affects them. So I don't see how any person can be defending this system or the people that made this system. Just like Shaheed Bolson said, it's the people that created this system. They're the problem. It's not the system itself. It is the people. And so that's what I'm saying. We can't, the thing about it, we can't just, you know, even the black people, we can't ignore this away. We can't ignore this issue away. Like what the white people have been trying to do, ignore us away. We can't ignore them away either. So that's why I'm making this video, man, because that WAFT concept that Shaheed was offering, that's just one example of, I wouldn't say a permanent solution, but it could definitely help, especially cities like Flint, Michigan, where I come from. Cities like Flint, Michigan, all of the Rust Belt of America could benefit from that, because most industries, it's obvious now at this point, no one is coming and moving up north unless they have to. No one really want to come where it's cold. That's just that. So now that we have, you know, all of the tech giants that's running this country now and nothing is being physically produced, this is an opportunity for the people to create those types of things, to offer employment, come together. We make these systems, these WAFT type systems in our communities that actually help the community, where we're not enriching ourselves, we're enriching the community. And these are some of that's just one. That's just one. Employee-owned companies. That's something that I've been championing for a long time. So we have to come up with solutions instead of being so stressed out about the problems. And that's what seems to be fueling all of this division, not being open-minded enough to come up with the solutions. But see, like Shaheed Bolson said, the problem is in the people. So when you have a people that's inherently attached to these systems because they were the ones that created them, they look at, when you coming up with an alternative solution to their problem, they look at that as a direct assault on them personally. And that's why we get the kind of backlash we get from these people when we're trying to basically save them from themselves. That's what we're trying to do. Help save them from themselves. Because guess what? They go down, they taking us all down with them. Unless we are, like I said earlier, come together and create something to help them out. But knowing the people in this country and the history and the inheritance that they have, the legacy they have inherited, they would see someone in a different community thriving and just simply want to go destroy it. So they not only do they wouldn't want to change their ways, they would come burn ours down. That's how these people think. This is why you don't see black people out in the streets protesting and doing nothing right now, because we know the history of these people. We know. They have so much hate and vitriol in their heart for anything that's different. Anything that don't resemble what their system resembles, even though they know that this system don't help them. And it's because that system is attached to their psyche, to their very well-being. The way that they behave and think is embedded in that system itself. The system is a reflection of them. So yeah, man.